Oh yeah.
So this is what we use to set our pipes in the ground. Really all this is a Tractor Supply king cutter middle buster. Welded this tank, which we found in our well house when we bought the property. And it's about 17.5 gallons according to the math. And that gives you about 145 pounds extra pressure on this. And this probably weighed 75 to 100. So we're over 200 pounds there, and this is a two-wheel drive tractor, so that really helps. So you'll see here in a minute, we'll drop this down and we'll make a pass down through here toward the greenhouse. That's a deep to go. Hope we don't have any more plumbing. So what are you doing?
Found some clay down about a foot.
And you're gonna do what?
I'm gonna try to clean it up a little bit and make like a garden stone. Maybe put the grandkids' names on it, or T Ranch or something. It's pretty cool. It's clay.
So what we did is we bought some 12-2 with ground. It was indoor cable, indoor Romex I should say, and we're gonna stick it inside this PVC. I think it'll do just fine. It was a lot more economical than underground. And the reason we don't run underground here is because of gophers. The gophers can chew right through. It can even chew through this PVC. So I'm probably not doing this exactly right. What I'm trying to do is just make sure I don't get any glue inside the PVC on the wire. That way I can pull and adjust this wire a little bit if I need to. This is a 100-foot run right here. This is the next day and it's in the afternoon because I had to do jury duty today. I forgot all about it. But we've run the water down, and if you see right there, that's for the expansion of the greenhouse, that little T there. So this pipe will be secured to this pole, this water pipe. Now the electrical, this is a outlet intended for outdoor use. And we're gonna fit this conduit up in here and tie it into this GFCI. So this will be the electrical for the electric fence around our garden, and then we'll come out of this other port here and go back down into the greenhouse. So you can see here I transitioned from PVC to electrical PVC. It'll be a very long video here. So this is the hot side. It's marked hot there. It's usually a dark screw on any outlet. I did it wrong. So now we got the water on, and we're going to do a leak check. I'm going to get the air out of the pipe. Screw. It's liable to kick over there. You might want to go stand on it. leaks.
Do you see any in your hole?
Not leaking here. We have water at the garden now.
Yeehaw!
Hallelujahs. Okay, now we got water in the pipes, and now I can go check all the joints. So we don't have the correct full barrier tape, so we're just going to use this survey tape. We put in 6 inches of dirt on top of the pipe. We wet it down, and now what we're going to do is just lay this down in the ditch. And of course, the wind's going to pick up while you try to do this. Now, what is it they say? In the wane of the moon, you won't have enough dirt. Something like that.
Thank the Lord for tractors.
Are you through playing yet?
Almost got my brick done. Just trying to smooth it out, make it even.
You gonna write something about you love me on there?
How about my grandson?
What about me?
Can I write his name on there?
Okay.
Thanks for the cross ties.
You're welcome.
Those are 17 feet long? How long were they?
14.
14 feet long.
Yeah.
And it's all that little John Deere could pick up.
Thanks to Chris and Kim.
And Mr. Wayman got it from a trestle, train trestle.
That's right. And you're going to have a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I got a template made so I can decrease my cycle times of putting that beam in here and trying to level it. That's a 12-foot 2x6. It's pretty straight. I'll lay that down, put my level on top of it. I'm packing and watering this in as I go. So I think what's going to happen here is that grade should fall off to where I have about an inch or so of that cross tie sticking up. I'll set this in the ground, then I'll shoot off of it and work on this one over here that runs parallel to it. We'll get this one level with that one, this one level with that one, and then I can put in these side pieces. These are going to be 12 feet. And my plan is to put a cable all the way around and cinch it tight. I'm going to do 14 by 12 and get these perfectly level. This one is a pretty good one right here. It'll be on the uphill side. It'll be almost even with the ground, maybe sticking up a couple of inches. And then we'll shoot level off of this one. You see those tracks right here? Now I've never seen termites cross creosote. In fact, I've always heard it wouldn't cross. But these were, you know, they've been sitting on the man's farm for a long time, and so there was a lot of leaves around them, and so these little boogers figured out a way in and got into some wood, you know, that wasn't treated, way in the center of it, I guess. And so when I put them up on this trailer, it started drying out, and that's why they started coming out trying to seek water. They didn't make it. Believe it or not, these two beams are level. Here's a quick way to determine the length of your cable when you have it rolled up nice and neat like this. So the average across here is 16 inches. You multiply that, that's the diameter, so you multiply that by pi, or in the field you can just use 3. So 3 times 16 is 48, so that's 4 foot once around here. Now I've already counted these, this is 26 of these loops. So 26 times 4 foot is over 100 foot in this cable right here. I'm going to put a cable all the way around the railroad ties and cinch them up so they'll never fall apart. I have to interrupt right here because we just got a call that the church that we go to is tearing down some structures, and there is free material available to us, so we're going to load the backhoe up and go there and pick it up. What do you want me to do first?
We're hoping that this slab is not rebarred into the base. It's not. Awesome. Noah. Come here, Papa's going in the tractor. Stay right there while Papa moves. You need some water? Okay.
Took my tractor and drug the bucket across it a few times and then used the weight of the vehicle, weight of the tractor, on top of the gravel. It is 16 that way and 12 this way. Okay, what we're doing here is just putting a little tar on the outside edge all the way around this sole plate. And what that's going to do is just help seal all the way around the perimeter. And I may come back and caulk it also on the outside here whenever we're done. But the cross ties are kind of irregular, so a lot of nooks and crannies. So this will just kind of flow into those little crannies and help seal it off. It's pretty cool today, so I wish I'd stuck these on the heater. It takes a little bit of force to get it out. Normally you wouldn't have to do this, but since it's up in that fence line, can't get to it. I'm trying to shoot for two 12-foot 2x4s for the end of the greenhouse. And you can see what I was struggling with. This log has a curve in it, which is going to reduce my production. But we'll see what happens. got a 1-inch board and a 2x4 with some wane on it. It had a rotten spot right here, so I had to put this side out. Otherwise, I'd cut the other side off because it had wane on it. That's a 2x4, and it's about 16 feet, 15 feet long. Okay, it's been 24 hours, 30 minutes really, since this was cut off the mill. So I'm gonna poke it in about the same place I did yesterday. So 14%. So I think it was 21 yesterday, so it lost 7. And that fan ran most of the time. I've had it off a little bit today. This is 48 hours. %, 8 or 9. We've reached the 72-hour mark on this test. Here we go. 7%. That's really remarkable, unexpected results. So I don't run the fan while I'm in here during the day, but I have more heat. You can see it's 60 degrees there. Relative humidity is 75. This wood has not been in the airflow. It's behind the table saw. So let's see where we're at with this. I hate touching it because it's sticky. (24%). It's just crazy. I never would have expected that fan to do that good a job, but it is what it is. I didn't have timbers that were long enough, so I scarfed the joints in right here. So what I did is I made a template, and then I just cut each side like that, and then I put 2 screws in to hold it, to keep it from doing this way when I put the construction adhesive in it, and clamped it together. So I got 2 screws and a little 5/16 bolt through it. It's pretty solid. To build it, I'm going to use this flat concrete. And I'm going to set it in there like that, and then the studs will go in between here. So I'll have an inside and outside. So the outside's going to be flush. Everything's going to be flush on the outside. The inside will be random, because all the inside is going to have is some shelving for the plants. And so here's an example. These are cut true dimension, 2 by 4 inches. 2 inches this way, 4 inches this way. Here's a Home Depot or a Lowe's stud. That's the difference. Now this stud, of course, has rounded corners, has been kiln dried and all that. So that's a lot of labor in that versus this right off the tree with sharp corners. But for this application, it's not going to matter. I've got 4-inch timbers on the end because when I stand this up, stand the other wall up, this needs to mate with the other wall flush. Everything in between these two end timbers, the two 4-inch timbers, was going to be 3.5. That's what that wall will be, and everything's flush with the concrete. So I built this jig right here, and what I do is I clamp it to this top and bottom plate, and that forces a 6-foot overall dimension from the top of the plate to the bottom of the plate. So I'm forcing 6 feet all the way down, and the reason for that is, my sawmill, sometimes it'll be 1/8 off. So this is actually thicker in places, and as you go down through there, it gets thicker and thinner a little bit. It doesn't vary a whole lot, but that's what I come up with. And so I put, these are 6-inch torque screws. I coat them with, this is just beeswax in here to lubricate them since they're penetrating so far into the timbers there. And I got a washer on the end. Because this cedar is so soft that this would just almost keep going through the plate. So here's how we do it. Oh, also, I use my construction adhesive on each end too. So, wainscoting, which is what this is going to look like. The camera girl picked the color, but the wainscot should be 1/3 of the wall. So that's about 2 foot, and this is going to be 4 foot. So what I'm going to do a little later is toenail it right through there like that. I don't know if I'll use nails or screws, but the reason I'm going to do that is because of the way that I cut these timbers. The tree was only like that big around. So there's the heart. So when you capture the heart in the middle of a stud like this, it's going to want to twist. So I'm going to try to prevent that with the adhesive and toenailing, try to keep it straight. And also, when I was laying the studs in, I allowed them to curve this way, but I kept the flat side on the cement, which will be the outside of the greenhouse. So should have a good flat plane when I lift this up.
Wait a minute. Are you going to get a true weight if you put that big board on the bottom?
I'm just testing to see if you can remember that I was going to weigh it.
Okay.
Mine's about 105.
200 pounds. another wall done, so now we're going to try to lift it, rotate it, and weigh it. $170. I'm going to a wall. I gotta go your way.
Okay.
That is exactly 12. What this is like that. Hopefully I can pick this up. Something about like that right there. Every little 1/8 inch matters. That's it right there. So I drill it here, and then when the king post gets in there, I'll have a king post come up underneath this ridge beam, and I'll nail it there. The reason this gap's here, probably you've seen this before, is the ridge beam's going to go right through here. So it's the same thing I did when I was building the sawmill. And it allows me to do this without any help. I can just set one end up in that slot and then carry the other beam and set it, the other end of the beam and set it in the slot on the other end. So this is all plumb and square as you can get it with rough lumber. And I'm in the process of building the next one. The next one is opposite end of this. It's going to be over the door. So I will not have this right here to frame to, because the door is going to be 38, and this post will come up like this. I believe it's 82, and then we'll have the beam go across here like this. So this king post right here will be much shorter on the door. I forgot to turn the camera on when I put the ridge beam up, but basically I put screws up and down the rake of this wrapper right here and just went up at the steps. It wasn't too bad. So I thought I better capture a little video of me setting the rafters. But basically what I'm trying to do is just make sure I'm dead center. You might can see in the camera I've got it come along holding it at 12 feet. And these rafters right here, 2x4, they're cut the same length, so I'm looking at the top. All right, here we are looking down the ridge beam. Got a string pop down through there. There's the rafters. There's the come along. Because I need to come across here and bind this raptor system, kind of like that right there. That's a temporary brace, but across here to keep this middle of this structure from spreading out. This is the this right here is the top plate on the west side scarf joint. I've got this piece of elm I'm going to put in right here to reinforce this. Even though I've got a rafter here and a rafter here, I just feel like I need to do this. But I want you to look at this. That's run through the joiner, and that's off the sawmill. Follow me, camera girl. So this is why I'm going to seal up this tin. I cut a 3x3 and a 1.5 inch corner out of it. Of course, it's cut long right now. It's going to go in here. It's going to seal the tin up like that, so little mice can't run up and down in there. And like I was saying earlier, I've had a lot of mistakes today, and one of them that I found out, I put these boards in between the studs yesterday, and I put them exactly 24, which is right here, that seam right there. And this goes for the clear PVC, it goes like that. And my intention was to have this board stop right here, but I blew it. And when I realized that today, it was kind of depressing. Lunchtime. Let's see what Camera Girl's cooked up. Fritos, tea, homemade oatmeal cookie, turkey sandwich. Lord, I want to thank you for this food. Thank you for the rain you're sending, and thank you for the greenhouse. Amen. Well, it's raining again, and what I'm going to do today is fit these panels. I'm not going to install the polycarbonate, I'm just going to fit them. In other words, these closure strips right here, I'm going to set these on the walls. So I wanted to show you real quick, you can see this. This is the edge that the tool left. I don't know if I mentioned it, but this is seven pieces at once. The only thing I would do different is I would get a bigger disc. These fit down in there perfectly, but it's hard to reach through. It just barely reaches through. It's hitting that nut right there on that board, which is pretty good. I think what I needed was a brand new blade, a bigger blade and a brand new blade for that oscillating tool. But it did pretty good. So I'll put this up underneath the roof where you can't see it. I'll leave the factory edge down at the bottom. So I don't know, it's my first time to do this, so I just thought I would bring these closure strips even with the edge of this 4x4. But also, more importantly, would be the way these strips end, they're not all cut the same. So What I'm talking about is the profile here. Some of them are cut here, some of them are cut here, some of them cut where this one is. So I'm going to make sure I pick two that start the same way, and then I'll carry it across to the end of the wall. So that's the plan for today. And I got to get over the sawmill if it quit raining long enough for me to cut. I got one more log I got to cut, one more, and I need a couple more 2x4s. And if it'll just give me a break on the rain, I can get that done today. I may have to cut it in the rain. If I cut it in the rain, you won't see the video. I need to show you one thing that I just noticed. Since it's the first time I've ever done anything like this with this polycarbonate. See if I can get you in here close. So, hopefully I'm in the field of view here, but this closure strip, I put it at the bottom of this top plate, and that gives me about a ½ inch above it right here. So I was thinking about what it would look like when the roof was coming down. This is trying to think ahead here. So if the roof was coming down, I want to extend the roof past this wall a couple of inches, and you can see there that it hits the roof, hits this wall. So I would not be able to do that. One of my debates has been, do I just fur in between the rafters and attach the roof directly to the rafter in the furring, or cross bridging, whatever you want to call it, or now this has made me make a decision. So what I'm going to do is take this my lathing that runs the length of the building will sit in here like this, and it will close this gap right here between the wall and the roof. And so if it sits in here like that, let's see if I can show this. Now when the roof extends a couple inches, it'll clear this wall. The lathing will seal the wall between the wall and the roof. I think it's going to work good. We'll see if you can see that. I'll have to look at the viewfinder. So that's the plan. I just can't get over how beautiful this eastern red cedar, which is really a juniper, and how it smells. It's pretty light when you dry it out. I've got a fan. I use a fan. I stack the lumber and use a fan on it with the wood burner running all night. So I've been doing that every night. So it gets 12 hours of fan and a little bit of heat. But it's just beautiful. I pop riveted some angle iron to this little piece I cut out, and it didn't take very long. It's just got 4 pop rivets in it, and it's going to ride right down through here like this. And I'm going to cut right here in this valley right here, right there on that groove, right where that plane meets that 45. I'll show you how it works. Okay, camera girl, I want to show you my process. So before I screw it, I fit it in there using shims because my concrete's not real flat. And I shim it until that seam right there is perfect, or as close as I can get it to perfect. All right, then I clamp it. Then I drill some holes. And then I fold it down. And then I use a little bit of this where these screws are going to be. It's right in that area. And all along this seam, up and down these posts, and then definitely on this sole plate down here. My concern is when we go to pick this up, I don't want it falling apart. We already know that it weighed 200 pounds without 10. I'll weigh that tin here in a minute and we'll see where that's at. So I just don't want it to fall apart, so I'm going to probably make a strap to go over this post right here. This post is tied in with this sole plate here, and this tin is making it rigid. So this cedar's not known strength in the tensile side of things, but I think it'll be all right for this.
What are you doing with that tube? Is it leaking?
No, I put this tape on there. Most people probably know this, but if you put tape on there that won't stretch like this, or foil tape, when you go to crank this won't swell as much. If it swells, it pushes the liquid out after you're done. Now this toe kick we put on here, I'm calling it a toe kick, it's wainscoting, but what it's here for is camera girl loves to mow the yard. She mows it every week regardless if it needs it or not. So this will prevent rocks from going through our greenhouse. Also, I don't know if I mentioned this, but this eastern red cedar is actually a juniper. And you might have noticed I put a single top plate here, and the reason I think I can get away with that is the rafters are going to sit right on top of these studs here. These studs are 3.5, 4 on the corner, 4-inch square on the corner, 3.5 in the middle. The rafters are going to come down and land right on top of it, so any of the weight from the roof is going to be transmitted directly into this beam or post. And also, this metal here gives the building great strength. It's tying this post to the bottom plate down there and giving it a lot of strength along this direction. Makes it rigid. So another reason to do this, because the polycarbonate is not going to give it any strength up in this area. So all your strength has to come from down here. Come on, it's the middle of January. It's time to plant onions.
Does it smell good in here?
It smells really good. What are you making?
I got a big old pot of sauce. Mom's Italian sauce with meatballs. I used garlic from the garden. This is last year's garlic. I just chop it up and put olive oil in it, put it in the fridge. And then I had some frozen bell pepper from the garden, last year's garden. I fried up with onions, add all kinds of different kinds of tomato, and now it's gonna simmer 2 or 3 hours. It'll be ready.
Okay, so I'm going to show you this. This is how this profile right here I cut on the table saw. Rounded it over with the router. Picked a piece of dry cedar instead of wet cedar. This is some that have been laying on the ground since 2013. So this little cut here is going to encapsulate that tin like that. Can you see it?
Mm-hmm.
That's how it's going to look, but I won't put this on when we move it, because if it hits that corner, this will probably crack and break off. So we'll move it without the trim. And coming up here, this is where the clear will be. I'll take some red trim corner molding right here, and we'll cover that up. So this right here is what I'm using to remove imperfections when I'm putting the tin up. And basically, me and Camera Girl got this piece. This was broke in an estate sale. I welded it onto a 1/2-inch piece of pipe, and I turned a piece of Bodark. The Bodark has turned brown. It turns beautiful over time. Let's see. Anyway, this is a pretty handy little deal right here. And I got it really sharp. Okay, so remember I told you that I have no end grain hitting the ground in this whole greenhouse. I made sure there was no end grain, because end grain will suck up water. So this will be the only, I'll have 4 of these. This is end grain, and it'll be sitting right here on top of the cross tie. So what I'll do is I'll stick this in a bucket of some kind of treatment, and leave it overnight. Probably just do both ends and then the whole piece. So it'll get a good saturation of it. So this is the south side of the greenhouse. The prevailing wind in this area in East Texas is running this way. That's why my vents all open that direction. So what we got here is, I was going to show you how I do the furring strips. So the first thing I do, hopefully you can see my tape, is I make sure this board is plumb. Then I plumb my polycarbonate, and then I make these furring strips meet up with that board and match the polycarbonate corrugation, and I carry it across and attach it to the building. Then I start the second polycarbonate furring right here. I make it match using the polycarbonate. I make it match. These two match. This hump matches that hump. And then I run this furring strip across. This right here will be wood, solid wood. These little pockets right here will be polycarbonate. And the reason for that is that here in East Texas, the sun strikes a low arc on the south side there, so a lot of light's coming in this direction in the winter time. So this will be carried over to here, and then I'll put this strip up there and make it match the humps in the corrugation, match again, and then I'll attach this and cut this off here. So this pocket right here is going to be polycarbonate. Above my hand here is wood. This little pocket, like I said, will be polycarbonate. At the very top, where I can strike an arc, if I can run a furring strip across here and level, this right up here will be wood. So the reason I'm keeping the furring strips like this, or cutting the polycarbonate square across the top, because if you run it like that, you do that with the polycarbonate, you cannot seal it. Not very good without using silicone. I didn't want to do that. So I'm going to show you the process I'm following here on this furry. So I've already set that first strip up there, and it's in relation to everything over to the left. I'm working from the left to the right. So what I can do now is use that as a reference up there and come down and set this one. So what I'm going to do is I take the center. I've got a line up here you can't see, but the center of the bulge to the center of the bulge, right there. And then I make sure I'm level, and then I cut this bottom furring to match that. So a lot of times you have to cut the small piece, like the tail, off a little bit to make it fit. And then once I get it on there, I'll either cut the length of it with the oscillating saw or the miter saw. So The next step I do is I put the polycarbonate over it, and I mark where the polycarbonate is terminating over here, because right here is where the trim for the door is going to be when I get the door in there. So I mark where that's going to be, and I stop the furring right there. So I'll bring you in here and show you how I'm attaching it to the building. Okay, so the first thing I do is I pre-drill a hole because of this pine. This furring here is pine, and it's pretty brittle. Not as brittle as the cedar, to tell you the truth. And I'm also drilling through metal. So in this case, I'm going to be really close to the edge of that stud, so I'm going to put it at an angle. So I drill on the humps. On the peaks, I should say, not in the valleys. The poly will be attached in the valleys per the manufacturer's instructions. And then I just ream out the hole a little bit. And I know that's probably being anal, but what I'm trying to do is not split this. And then I real gently go through the metal and into the stud. And then just where it's just below the surface. So it won't, this screw will not touch that poly. Okay, so I need two 70-inch pieces for the north end here. So I lay them on top of each other and I make sure they're butted up and they're flush. So I'm going to mark 70. Right here. And 70 on this side. Right there. Now, I grab something I've already cut just because it's smaller, easier to handle. I'm going to take the factory edge, make it line up on those two 70s. Okay. Now get this out of the way. And I'll usually support the side that I'm keeping. So I'm going to run down through there like that. Okay, so this, now what I do is I put the factory edge down where we'll see it, down closer to the bottom down here, because this is going to be high up there. And that's how that's going to fit. Now, because that's going to be west, our storms come out of the west and come this way. I'll lay this in here this way. That way it'll be overlapping going back this way, if that makes sense. So the next piece I'll lay over this one right here like this. So the wind coming from that way can't ever get under this right here. Is it going to fit?
I hope so.
It looks good.
What is that exactly?
It's a flashing zone. So when if it rains in here like that, it'll hit right here, roll over and drip down.
Okay.
Here, this base, this plate right here is a little bit on the slant, the bottom part.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to put 2 galvanized nails in it. We're going to test a bandsaw on this polycarbonate right here. That's probably the best way to cut it right there. Unfortunately, it'd be tough to cut a panel on this bandsaw. An effective way to remove a Black Magic marker mark, which that's what I'm using to mark this polycarbonate, is I've been using turpentine. So what I do is I put it on there. Well, that's coming off pretty quick. But if it's been on there for several days, let it sit on there for 10 seconds, and it'll come right off without marring the finish. Once I get the roof up, the rafters, I'll come through here with some 45 braces, and what that'll do is it'll give it some strength against the wind, because right now all we've got is a 2x4 and a 4x4 bearing on the top plate holding us erect. But it's still pretty stout. It just needs to be rigid. Sometimes we have winds up to 30 or 50 miles an hour. I've got screws all over this structure that are not fully seated, because I'm going to take it all back apart again. Here's another mistake that I made when I cut these rafters out. I had a choice for this to be at the peak or this to be down here on top of the plate. But you can see there's a knot there, and that makes that really weak. So it makes me concerned here that this could split apart here along the grain. So what I'm going to do is make these little pieces of wood here to go in here, and this will be cut at a 45 or something right there, and that'll be under there to help support that so it doesn't ever fail. So this king post here, I've glued it, I got supports on it, and I got a few screws in it going toenail down through here. But this, I'm going to pick it up with the tractor from up there at the peak. So the weight of this whole member right here, this whole truss system and the wall, is going to be right here. So what I'm doing is I'm putting 6-inch screws. I put a little beeswax on them to make sure I get full penetration and countersunk. A little compression. So it goes like this. A little compression on the surfaces. Now they're flush. So that'll give that joint right there some strength. Hopefully it'll hold when I pick it up. We won't know until I do that, and I'm getting close. All I've got left is some truss. I got to go to the sawmill and cut some more cedar for trusses, or rafters I should say, and some 1x for lathing. And then I'll go ahead and mock it up in here and label them. Then we'll move it. Can't wait. Oh, I've also got the roofing, it's called skylight material roofing. It's going to go on here. It's going to be in 24-foot pieces. I'm going to cut them in 3, so I'll get 8-foot pieces. And that's what I designed this right here to be. 8 foot from the peak down to the top plate. Top plate here is 6 feet. So what that did for me was make this whole building more accessible off a 12-foot ladder. The very top ridge up there is 11.4. So with the 12-foot ladder, I can work that up there. And down here, I can reach the top plate with no problem. It also, with 6 foot instead of 8 foot, I use 25% less material. 25% less of the clear polyvinyl, polycarbonate I mean. So I went with that. Plus, if you think about it, I've got less wind load because it's a shorter building. The roof panel is an R panel, so is this red tin. So I'm using it for a straight edge. This fiberglass panel will not support your weight, so you have to make sure that you have something beneath it that you can put your knee on. So what I'm going to do is plunge cut this all the way across, and I have the disc rotating this way to throw the fiberglass dust away from me. I have my knees on top of these 2x4s here. Here's my roofing pile right here, all up in there. Today I'm going to start the roof rafters. So I just measured this rafter here, and it slipped about 1/8 of an inch. So it's 12 foot and 1/8 to 12 foot and 1/4. And then I come to here, and this wall has kind of warped in a little bit. It's 11 foot, 11 inches and 3/4, maybe 5/8. So it's gone in. See this picture right here? You can tell this part right here is gone back in. It's slipped in toward the center a little bit. So what I'm going to try to do is make up a little jack and jack it back out, and then start laying these rafters in. And the way I like to do it is get the center one first, both sides, so the opposing forces are equalized there. And then I come in between these two, divide it in half. And I do this one, and then I do that one over there. And then after that, I just kind of start putting them in. I'm going to measure from the outside corner, hopefully you can see that, to the very top corner of this ridge, 95 7/8. And make sure I'm centered now. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. .95 7/8. We're good to go. So I'll cut 2 at 95 7/8. Let's see if I can remember this. This is 48 This is 41.4, and that's 48.6 degrees, those cuts. That was 11 boards. And what I'm planing today is the laths. What I'm planing today is the laths for the greenhouse. So I'm planing them down to about 7/8. So what I rigged up was the vacuum, which doesn't really have enough cubic feet per minute to do what I'm doing, but I guess it's performing. It stops up every once in a while over here. So I'm going to open this up after 11 boards. So we got in. About half full. I'll keep going then. So I need a minimum of 10 boards for the roof. I believe that's what I calculated, but of course I'm going to do like 12 on each side or maybe more. Just a little dust. So my filter worked. That was, let's see, 24 boards I did, approximately 4 to 6 inches wide. I'd say my box was just about full. So one of the things I figured out, finally, instead of taking this off every time it gets stopped up, can you see that little hole I drilled right there? So I just hit that with the air hose every once in a while toward the box, and it would just blow right through and clean it up. So, not too big a mess out here. There's another one that's full and a bucket that's full. That'll be good for the garden. So we planed 26 boards. There's 13 on this side and 13 on the other side laying on the floor. These are the rafter boards, the laths, and they're all 7/8. So those 3 boxes of sawdust came from boards that were inch and an eighth, and milled down to 7/8. But I want to show you something that's even more glorious than those boards right there. Started this job on this greenhouse in January, middle of January. But now we're almost to the middle of March. And I'm telling you, there hasn't been a whole lot of this sunshine. It's like rained almost every day, seems like, times. But look at that. So what I got here is Camera Girl had a bunch of potatoes sprouting. It was too early, so I put them in this bucket right here, or barrel, half a barrel, and they sprouted. Yep, I can't wait to get this greenhouse finished and moved. So really, all I've got left is the laths, and you can see right here, there'll be a rafter that's hanging out here on the end of these plates. And that will be, where those are placed will make the tin and the fiberglass work out down through here. So that top ridge board up there is 2 foot. Well, you can see the line, maybe you can see the line up there. It's a little more than 2 foot. But so somewhere I'll land that rafter out here on these boards that are hanging wild there. And that'll mark the end of the tin or end of the roof. So what we're doing is leveling the laths on this roof. Remember, these boards are a little bit different. So what I do is I take this level and I make sure that I'm level or flat across all of them like that. And then the other thing I got going on, that's up and down vertically. I don't know if you can see it, but I got a string down through here. It's tied at both ends, and I set the level this way also. In other words, when you look down through here, sometimes you can see a hump. And so I take that hump out. So I've tried different methods. Right here I use an oscillating saw, but I've used a chisel, and now I'm going to use a reset. But I'm only removing about 1/8 inch. Maybe 3/8 sometimes. So this is the last step, and then we're going to label all the boards, take them down, stack them in the 53, so they're, like east wall, east roof, west roof, that kind of thing, and then haul this dude down there and put it up. And we're both ready for that.
Yes, we are.
Okay, we've got everything labeled. So now we're going to start taking it apart board by board, and we'll sort it. West side, east side, that kind of thing. I've got everything labeled, as you can see up through here. So we're really close to moving this thing. It's rainy and dreary outside, but you know what you can do to make a woodworker happy? Let me show you. This is hickory. Just put it in the stove for a minute. Hold on. Camera girl will get mad about this. This is homemade charcoal here. See how she fits. Do is pull it a little bit, just a little bit so I can get it out this door.
Okay.
You can just leave that running. There you go.
Go slow, slow, slow.
There you go. It's not screwed, man.
All right, you're good, you're good.
We got it!
Slow, slow.
Look there, we got it!
All right. I can walk it down like this, but let me go turn off the camera.
Nah, it might fall off, that's not good. Okay, ready?
You're right over it now.
This one's gonna be a little bit more tricky. You gotta go past the other piece.
What is that?
Base plate seal. What we're trying to do is keep the slugs out because we like strawberries. So do slugs. truck. There? Okay, now pull down on it. Into the hole.
My side went in. So we started moving the greenhouse at 4 o'clock and it's 7:35. That's why Kim decided to build it in the shop so that all we had to do is move it.
And we have a birthday party tomorrow for our grandson, and it was in the way.
Yes. So now it's moved. Ready to go.
Do you like it?
I love it. She said, I like it too. She said, yummy for my tummy.
See the ladder I built? It keeps it from bearing down on that fiberglass. Ready? sticky. There. My goodness. Well, I guess I don't really need a poppy string. I can just do it like that by line of sight.
Mm-hmm. I don't think that's what we did on the other side.
No. All for the canes, baby. All for the canes. Okay, this is a little bit of flashing we had left over from our shop build. I don't know what they used it for, but I'm going to use it for the apex trim. This can be a little bit hard to do sometimes. It'd be better if it's variable speed. This is made by Black & Decker, this cutter right here, rotary cutter, probably 1970. Ta-da! We got end grain right here. This is what I'm protecting with this little apex trim here. I slip it underneath the flashing, and then I get it level. Right there. Normally I'd use flashing nails, but I don't have any, so I'm going to put 2 screws in there. Does that look good?
Mm-hmm.
Take this scrap. I haven't set it on wood yet. Cover up that end grain right there. So here's the process. I'll show you how I drill these holes right here. But I'm lapping it where if the wind's blowing this way, it doesn't ever catch a lap. That's because the prevailing wind's this way. I haven't said anything about these yet, have I? These I made on the jigsaw, on the table saw, and I'll show you how I did that. I don't get them real tight like that. Then I do some more pre-drilling. Those didn't line up here very good. So you drill the hole. That's a pilot hole, but the plastic I drill at 1/4 inch. So it's much bigger than the screw for allow for expansion. Here's the profile of this piece. Put a little glue on it. These little pin nails will hold it as the glue dries. And these screws are 1.5 inches, so this will go all the way through into the post. When you're drilling this gets really, really hot, so you have to keep your hands away from it. Now, if you take a 1/4 inch bit, you put it in there and you turn that with the drill, it'll catch and blow that out right there. So what I do is I run it in reverse, like that, and it'll burn through there, and you won't ever damage it. But also, I got this little thing that I came up with. See it? This is just a countersink. This is 1/4 right here. So this drills the pilot hole, and that's the enlarged hole that I need. So can you see it?
Mm-hmm.
You see that turn white? That's heat. Steam's coming off of it. You probably can't see, but I got a perfect hole in there, 1/4 inch hole without any splinters. Repeat, repeat, repeat. Do you like this? It's butcher block.
Yeah.
Butcher block table. So it's a 1 inch gap in there. So this table, I don't know if you can see it, but we got a bow right here. But I decided not to take it out because it doesn't matter. But that's what it's like when you're dealing with sawmill lumber. It's always something. That's the only one I had left, and I didn't feel like going to the mill. But this side over here, this is all 1 inch pecan board we got from the church. Pecan tree we got from the church. So this one's just about done. I'll do a light sanding on it and put some probably boiled linseed oil on it. So we'll have that, and then we'll have places for some chairs in the corners, and then we'll have another place here for trees maybe in big containers. And we've just got Miss Jackie's sink with water on it. Looky there. That was last summer we were running this line. It's just so fast building one of these. We've been building on this since, for sure, January. And I started the mill process well before that. So the cedar, look, it's already turning gray. Isn't that crazy? So you see the rotan in the top? We'll put vines up. We'll grow some vines in here. I don't know exactly what we're going to do. Morning glories at a minimum.
What about that corner where the little ladder is that you made?
Oh yeah, this one, I got a piece of metal that's cut on it's just a corner piece of metal. I'm going to put pea gravel down, get it level, and put that piece of metal down in there. And put a little wood stove here pointing this way. And I'll either replace this polycarb with metal or I'll go through the roof. Haven't decided yet.
Little wood burning stove.
Little wood burning stove. And then you'll sit in your chair there in the mornings and drink your coffee and
Can't wait.
look at the fire. We're going to build a door with a window and a screen. And we'll have this screen open. And then when it gets hotter, we'll probably just use these fans here. These will be temperature controlled. One of them came with the thermostat. The other, I'm going to use our Ecobee Wi-Fi thermostat. The first stage cooling is screwed up on it, but I can make the second stage work for this. So that's the plan, and I'll show you how we're going to do that. This is how loud the fans are. As soon as I turn it on, I feel the air coming in this window. You think it would pull it out of that door faster than it would pull it here. In the last summer we ran water and electricity from our house down to the garden to a corner post. Set a plug over there, it's a GFCI plug. And we ran the power from there to here, comes up in this outlet here. So this circuit here going that way will have the wood stove and possibly the electric backup heater. And that's 12 gauge, number 12 Romex. This pipe right here coming up, and we'll run all the LED lights and this little fans, and this is 14. So that circuit's carried all along the ridge beam there for lights and the ceiling fan. All the way to that.
It's beautiful. Everything's done except the door and some exterior trim.
I'm very glad this is over. Very, very glad. Happy, happy, happy. When I was 13 years old, my dad hired Pinehurst Nursery and Landscaping in Orange, Texas, to come over and plant some live oaks and do some flower bed work. And I ended up going outside and helping the owner. And later that year, he interviewed me, and I believe in January of '74, I was 14, I went to work for him. And I worked for him for 2 years. And while I was there, I learned a lot about greenhouses and plant care. And mainly it was Josephine teaching me. She knew everything about every plant, inside and out. She was remarkable. People would come up from all over Orange to come and talk to her, even if they didn't buy anything. Anyway, that greenhouse was probably a couple of thousand square feet, and I had the job of watering and, more importantly, propagating. Josephine and I both propagated hundreds, if not thousands, of fig trees, Japanese yew, waxleaf ligustrum, lemon trees. They grew wild in Orange. You name it. Some of them were cuttings and some of them were seeds, but we were constantly cranking it out like a factory. And he had landscape material down in 1-gallon buckets everywhere that had to be watered all the time. So anyway, that has impacted me in my life. Always wanting to get back to a greenhouse. Now, also when I was 14, I built a greenhouse. It was made out of old wooden windows from a tear down. They were 3 by 5. So it was 2 deep and 1 wide. Even the door was a window. And I had strawberries, I had a banana plant. I tried to blow the top out of it. All sorts of fun with that. Ladies and gentlemen, I just want to point out that the prices you see here are estimated. Our price is probably about half of that, since we had the 10 laying out under trees. We cut our own lumber, so that knocked out about half the price. The other thing I wanted to say is my wife has a channel. It's called Hay Barn Homestead, or Jackie Trailer, and that one will have what we grow in this greenhouse. You know, since we put this sawmill in, we've had quite a few people work on the sawmill, so I called them my sawmill posse. So we were thinking, me and Jackie were thinking, that we'll have a contest and you answer 2 questions and send to this email right here your answers. We'll put it in a hopper and we'll draw a winner, and the winner, if you can guess the questions, the winner will get a billy club made out of timber from this ranch. There's 2 questions. One is, what did I use wax for in this video? The second question is, what did the moisture content get down to after 72 hours of dry time? So again, send to that email your answers and we'll pick one, and we'll probably do it in a video so you can see what we did. So we do have one more video that we're going to have to do, and that is the video where we install the door and the wood burner and a little bit of trim on the outside. So hope you tune in to see that. Thanks for watching our video.